Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. We are finally wrapping up the Declutter series. I published my last declutter last week, and in the meantime, since I started in November, I have been trying out and working on my maybe pile. I will pull a vocabulary adaptation from Hannah Louise Boston and call this my purgatory. This is all the products that I wasn't sure whether I wanted to declutter or to keep, and I have been using them this whole time. I wouldn't say religiously, but I made sure to use them many times to make sure that I made a conscious decision about what I wanted to keep and what I didn't. And a few of you asked me, how about my Shop My Stash? I haven't done a Shop My Stash in a while. And don't worry, there wasn't a Shop My Stash because these were the products that I was using until I figured out everything and I made up my mind. But since the declutters are finished, I managed to go through all of the categories here. I just didn't do nail polishes and brushes. Nail polishes I did a while ago by myself and I showed you on Instagram, and brushes, I don't know. Brushes are a whole issue by themselves. But since I finished the rest of the products, I decided to also wrap up my purgatory, let's say. And today we're going to go through each product. I'll tell you whether I'll keep it or I will declutter it and why. Mainly. I hope you enjoy this video. Subscribe if you're not already and give it a thumbs up, and let's get started. I am going to start from eyeshadow palettes. The first one I am going to talk about is the Colourpop Good Sport palette. I have a hard time, and I'm not the only one, I just saw other people's declutters that were saying the same thing. I have a hard time being inspired by this color story or making a cohesive look with this palette. However, the more I use it, the more I love it. The looks that I do create with this palette are beautiful. I often play with these, sticking my finger into things, with this middle row, this matte right here I love, this shimmer right here, the green is gorgeous, this purple is really nice. The shades I don't use and I don't like are this one, this one, this one. This one is quite useless to me, and actually I did find that this orange with blue glitter gives such a beautiful wet look on the eyes. It's really special. So yeah, as you can tell from my tone, I am going to be keeping this one. I like it. The quality is really good. It brings some interesting shades into my collection. I love this green. I really like the effect of this. So I am going to keep this guy. The other eyeshadow palette that was in my maybe pile is the Subculture by Anastasia Beverly Hills. Now I went back and forth with what to do with this palette because I love the color story. Like, let me get the brush out. Like, with a passion. I love everything about this color story. I love the red, I love the greens. The doorbell. Okay, I'm back. As I was saying, I love this color story. I love when it came out, it was so unique, so I don't know. I love teals, I love greens, I love yellows. It's the color story is so good. However, I find that the quality, either I have less patience to use it, because I remember liking this palette and not having absolutely any problem using it, but nowadays All Star isn't sticking to my eyes properly. Axis is also being patchy and difficult. What I still find myself using happily is the yellows. I love Electric, and for example Adorn I barely ever used, and Fudge is okay. But I don't think this justifies me keeping the palette, because I will not be reaching for it just for these shades. I have other things, other yellows in my collection. I did a whole yellow makeup collection video that if you want to look, I'll link up here. But I have other yellows, I have other teals. I don't think I should keep this just for sentimental reasons. I have been doubting keeping it for duping reasons. So for example, if I have other shades that I can compare, but I prefer that it goes to a home where it will be used. So I will be decluttering this guy. As usual with my declutters, this doesn't mean that it's a bad product overall, but just that it doesn't have a place in my collection anymore. So if you're interested in these things at any point, either DM me on Instagram or here, or just check out the blog sales stories highlight on my Instagram, and you'll find all of the items that are still out there. I mentioned it before, but I'm toying with the idea of making a box of decluttered makeup to send to whoever wants it, and they would only have to pay for shipping. Let me know if that is something that makes sense to you or not. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I just don't want this stuff to rot here, like sit here forever, because in my real life here, I don't have a lot of people who love makeup around me, or who collect makeup, or who have makeup, and yeah, so I'm quite isolated in gifting things, unfortunately. I'm happy to gift it to all of you if you want it. Moving on to the next palette, it is the Morphe 35M. As you can see, it's a bit battered because I decided to depot it. This was painful, and this shade never left the pot because the glue is too thick. Anyways, this was painful. It was a lot of work, but I decided to depot it. It's not a palette that I hated completely, but I was so bummed out by some of the shades that I didn't want to use it. So what I did was depot it, and here are the shades that I'm keeping. I put them in this eyeshadow palette here, and this is kind of like the colorful ones that were in the palette, a little bit rearranged for my happiness. And I saved also these two neutral neutral browns, let's say, because I like shimmery browns. I don't have a ton of the classic neutral normal shimmery browns. I always went for very like weird ones or stuff like that, and sometimes I would just like a normal shimmery brown. So yeah, these are the ones I kept. It's a 19 out of the 35, so I think that's, yeah, decluttering some of them, at least 16 of them. And yeah, I just like the look of this so much better. And I had tested out all of these eyeshadows that I'm keeping on my eyes before deciding what to keep, and they all work well. And they're all, even like these three that look very similar, I could actually see differences. This is much brighter, this is more muted, this is more orange. They all have a little place, and I like having a bit of the reds. So yeah, I'm actually really happy of the look of this. It just looks me. I like it. I don't know. I have still a few shades that I had to decide not to keep, and it's actually a lot of the greens. This one, this guy right here. Can I hold them all in with one hand? Maybe. And this green right here. And this green, it's because it just didn't show up as well as the other greens in the palette as a matte. And the shimmery ones here, they were just too similar to things that I have in, for example, the Melt palettes or my Makeup Geek eyeshadows. So I decided to get rid of those greens, and the two darker shimmers also, it's not something I wear. So these are the ones that I had depotted with the idea of keeping them, and that instead I'm not. And the other ones that I actually, during depotting, I was like, oh, I'm depotting this to throw it away. So I just stopped depotting them and threw them directly. Those were mainly the brown mattes, and those were also the ones that weren't performing for me, and the ones that I have many of. So I just decided to throw them out with the insert of the palette. I know some of you talked to me on Instagram when I showed the depotting of this one. This was really, really hard. So I would just, yeah, be mindful if you want to do it, that it will take you time. It took me a whole afternoon. It will take you tools, because I had to use a heat gun. I don't have hair straighteners, obviously, so I didn't use those, and my induction plate has to work with a metal before it heats, so it wasn't working really well. So I used the heat gun that my husband has in his toolbox that reaches very high temperatures. tongs and tweezers to keep it away from my hands, pure acetone to release some of the glue that is inside, these bits right here. I first had to release the whole center part, and then for that I was using this acetone, and then use the heat gun to melt the plastic, the insert plastic, to get the pans out. It was super hard, it was a lot of work. I wouldn't recommend it unless you have nothing to do and you like doing these things. That's my case. It was a Sunday afternoon project. And just be mindful. These new Morphe palettes are much more sturdy than the old ones. Back in the trash. Now, talking about single eyeshadows, I had a few palettes with maybes, and I decided to keep a lot of them. Maybe that wasn't so great. This is the a palette with the eyeshadows that I will be keeping, and yes, it's a lot of neutrals, and it's all the ColourPop neutrals. Half of them are discontinued, so maybe they're not good for duping, but they're so good. Today the look I created is with this palette and a Tamitanuka thing on the lid. So I just love these, and I am much happier keeping them than giving them away. I love these colors. I love having options for duping and just duping the vibes. And I'm trying to think of a project for this year to create and use more my single eyeshadows, because I have them per color and per brand. So first per brand and then in the brand per color. So I don't really use combinations of them very often, and the ones that have no brand, I have no brand that I don't have a lot of. I have this one right here, and it's a mix of like my Divina Cosmetics, my Anastasia Beverly Hills, my Color Drain. And these never get used, because if I reach either for my ColourPop or for my Makeup Geek, and they're beautiful shadows. Why not reach for them? So I'm thinking of a project, a way to use them more, maybe make curated palettes that I can switch around. I feel like that may be a lot of work and pointless, to be honest. But for example, when I duped the vibes of the Melt Amor Eterno palettes, that was a while ago, right? It was like before Black Friday, and I still keep these in here because if I see a look because those palettes mainly still speak to me and call to me, and if I see a look, I look at it and I say, oh yeah, but I have this color combination. So maybe do something like that would be the best way to get use out of my single eyeshadows more. What I am getting rid of are these guys, plus there's more shadows that I have already given away. Mainly all of my Divina Cosmetics matte shadows. Unfortunately, that formula was just not working for me, so I decided to just get rid of them all. There's, I don't know, this is a Makeup Geek in Burlesque, for example. This is Nabla Cosmetics, Daphne 2. It's colors that I won't wear. This is a NYX shadow, and these two light ones are ColourPop, but these are very boring. I know I won't get to them. I barely get through, I don't know. I don't really use these shades so much anymore. I don't set my I don't set my brow bone with a lighter color. I barely use these light matte shades anymore. So I decided these are gonna go away, be decluttered, and this palette right here will stay, or rather I'll reshuffle them back with their brands and then decide what to do and try to understand what I can, what project I can do. Let me know down below if you have any idea, or if you've seen anything online about it, because I am, looking for a new project for my single shadows. This is much longer than I expected, but I want to go through everything, so please bear with me. We're now going through my lipstick, maybe the pile and purgatory, let's say. I'm starting with the items I'm keeping, and specifically these two lipsticks. This one right here is Dose of Colors, the collaboration with Daisy and Katie. This is in the shade Aftermath, and it's exactly what I'm wearing today. And I have to say, I don't give it enough credit because it's very beautiful. It's a creamy lipstick that sets to a matte. During the day, it does tend to dry me out a little bit, but nonetheless, I think it's very pretty. I swatched it on my hand. That's what I've been having on my hand this whole time, next to other shades that I use a lot and that I love. One of which is this guy right here. This is Melt Mum. This formula is the Sahara Desert. It's very, very dry, very much like a Retro Matte by MAC, just a very matte lipstick. And I was like, oh, but they look so similar, but they don't. This first one right here is Mum, and this second one is Aftermath. And you can see that Mum is definitely more vibrant and more orange, and Aftermath is more nude and more gray. I think my camera is making me very green right now, but I'll see if I can color balance it in editing. And then I decided to swatch them next to some of my favorites, My Lips But Better, what I call nudes for me, medium tones. This one right here is MAC Retro, MAC Marrakesh, and yeah, this is definitely not a neutral anymore, but this is MAC Chili. And they are all different to me, to be honest. Maybe Marrakesh and Mum has something in common, but Marrakesh is definitely more, a little bit darker and a little bit more terracotta, whereas Mum is more orangey. So I'm keeping both. I need to make an effort into using them, so probably gonna do a shop my stash with my lipsticks again, because I need to, yeah, just use them more. I like them. I am going to keep also Kat Von D Lolita. I also don't use this enough, but it's a very nice pinky. Ooh. It's pretty much the same as Retro. Incredible. I really like this shade. I've been using it a lot. I thought it was much more mauve and I don't know, much more mauve and gray than Retro, but it's really similar. In my head, Retro is this nice warm toned nude, and it's really not. It's actually quite pinky. So, okay, so no, this I'm not keeping. Decluttering that one, that went fast. For liquid lipsticks, I am keeping both my Dose of Colors Truffle. It's a nice nude, it works for me. I was doubting whether it was too light, but it works, so I'm gonna keep it. And the Pixie by Petra Matte Last Liquid Lip in Really Rose. This is the only one I'm keeping of this line, I believe, and I do like the formula. It's just that the colors were never really for me, and this one here is a nice rosy shade that I don't really have in my collection, so I'm gonna keep it. I am also going to keep Nabla Cosmetics Syrup. This gloss wasn't among my favorites, but the other day I was wearing it in one of the videos, and you guys were saying, oh, what do you have on your lips? What do you have on your lips? I looked back and I was like, oh, that looks actually quite nice. And it was this one. And the trick with that was to use very little amount, because this is quite a thicker gloss, and it being a nude, it may look a bit milky sometimes and may look a little bit fake, but if you use a small amount, it just looks juicy and beautiful. So just a note, but I will be keeping that one. I am keeping another gloss. This is from Colourpop in the shade Dropout. So this is a beautiful dark gloss that I've used recently on top of a dark lip liner, for example. I love Colourpop glosses, so I am keeping this guy right here. It's similar to another one I have, but one is more red, one is more brown, and I'll just keep it. And then I'm keeping the Ultra Satin Lip in Hutch. This is, I feel, one of the oldest Colourpop lips I have. I bought it in the US in 2016 in the fall, but it is a gorgeous dark plum, and it's so good. It doesn't smell, it performs great, and it's so gorgeous. So I'm gonna keep this one. I wasn't sure because I don't really wear it, but I did wear it out and there was no problem with it. I am also keeping Chateau, which is the Matte X. It's a very dark red, but it's vampy, it's beautiful, it's very much for this season. Yes. And then this one was a bit of a doubt because I haven't used it in forever. This is the Ultra Glossy Lip in, oh goodness, I think it's Flurry. It was from a limited edition collection of a while ago. And I was like, oh, well, I never wore it, let me declutter it. But then look at how gorgeous that is. It's like a berry with glitter, metallic sheen. I don't know, it's so beautiful, especially for those more creative looks that I do on Instagram. I think this is gonna be beautiful, and since I have it, I'm gonna keep it until it goes bad and then declutter it. What I am getting rid of now, finally, is Mamacita. This is an ultra matte lip, too dry. Another ultra matte lip that's going is this guy right here. This is more better. This has turned. The smell is just so plasticky, and just this has turned. It smells like cleaning agents. So unfortunately this color is gorgeous, but I'll have to throw it out. And this ultra matte is Rouge. This will also go, simply because the formula is horrible. It's really bad, or really bad. It's just not good. It's very, very dry. It crumbles on the lips, just not good. So I'm gonna get rid of Rouge. I am also gonna get rid of Limbo, same discussion, ultra matte lip, very, very dry. I almost have no ultra matte lips left, to be honest. I'm just over it. And for now, only comfortable mattes are allowed. Also from Colourpop, I am going to pass along my two more regular lipsticks that I was wondering about. This one is Money Moves. It's a cream, and it's a bit of a boring, I don't know, it's a bit of a boring shade, and as you can see, it's quite similar to this group, and this one just hasn't made the cut. I've used it a few times, not for me. This one I'll try to pass it along to someone. It's still very good. It's actually quite recent, and this other one is 21 Question, and it's a Velvet Blur. And this is also something that I bought because I was curious about the formula, and it's a brighter orangey blur lipstick, which, to be honest, maybe should be like the Powder Kiss by MAC, but it's a bit drier. I don't vibe with it, so I decided to just pass it along. So two more things. Another Colourpop. This is the So Juicy Gloss in I don't know the shade. Oh, is a Habit. This is just a very thick, minty, tingly gloss, and I hate the packaging. Or I don't hate the packaging, I hate the looks of the packaging. So the packaging works because you don't have to dip anything anywhere, so it's quite hygienic. You push it out, you apply it, that's fine. But it reminds me of kids' makeup, and the formula is so thick. It looks so juicy, but it's thick. I don't like the feeling on my lips, so it's just not for me. I'm gonna pass that one along. And then I'm gonna throw out this Sephora Stain Oil, what is it? Rouge Lip Tint, it's called, Long Lasting Lip Tint. Final two items are my liquid eyeliners that I just decluttered in my last declutter. Havoc from Ilamasca will go. It did get very liquidy, and I haven't been able to revive it or make it look normal. It seeps into the lines, and I cannot have liner do that, so that's one's going. And the Stila All Stay All Day waterproof eyeliner, I haven't managed to revive. It's dried out, so I don't know what to do with it, and I think I'm just gonna throw it out. I'm very sad, but this is the last one that I had bought before I literally stopped using liquid eyeliner some 4 years ago, so it's also very old. And yeah, that is that was the finale of my declutter. I have reckoned with all of the purgatory maybe pile, and yeah, I think I got rid of half of the lipsticks, and half of them I'm keeping. The palettes I'm keeping one, the potted one and decluttering one, and the single eyeshadows I failed. I'm keeping all of them except for very few. With this, I am ready to start the year fresh. I am going to do a full inventory to see how much stuff I have and how much makeup. I'd like to do a skincare inventory as well. If you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments, because I'm happy to film it for you guys. Otherwise, what I do is usually just put it in an Excel sheet for myself, just to keep track of how much of like hydrating things I have, how much for oily, how much anti-aging things, cleansers, things like that. So let me know if you want to see it. I'm happy to film it as well. And we are on to a fresh start, let's say, or just a check-in point, and just checking in and seeing how my collection is doing. If it is going down in my inventory, I'll let you know how much of everything of each category I have and what my goals are. I only have goals for a few categories, not for all of them, but I think that's that's fair to share. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!